Hello and welcome to the Ridiculously Good VA Show with Tracy Daviero. If you are a virtual assistant or want to be one, this is the place to learn the tips and tricks you need to become a ridiculously good VA. I've been a part of the VA industry since 1998, and I'm excited to get to know you and help you build an amazing business. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast that teaches you how to be a ridiculously good virtual assistant. Every week, I bring you insights, strategies, and encouragement to help you grow your VA business with the confidence, clarity, and consistency that you need to be successful. Today, I want to talk about not charging enough or undercharging. Today's quote is from Tony Robbins. You don't get what you deserve, you get what you tolerate. So, Tony Robbins is a lot for me. So if he is for you too, I get it. But this quotation really supports what I'm sharing in this episode. And when you step out of what you're tolerating, you get clear on what you want. And that's the most important thing. It's not about charging what you deserve. It's about being strategic. Let's go. This is the third episode in my 4-part series on rates. Thank you so much for tuning in so far. If you haven't listened to the other 2 yet, make sure you jump back and do that. Maybe now. Are you simply tolerating what you are earning as a virtual assistant? Most VAs don't intentionally tolerate a low rate of pay or billable rate. Most often, they don't even realize that they're not charging enough or tolerating it until someone like me questions them on it. You're probably just trying to be practical, maybe cautious, and likely realistic. And you also might be not charging enough. Undercharging has a cost, and that cost is much higher than a lot of VAs realize. So today I want to talk to you about what undercharging is really costing you beyond the number on the invoice or the balance in your bank account. Undercharging rarely starts as a big decision. It starts quietly. You choose a rate that feels safe. You think you just need to get your foot in the door. You tell yourself it's temporary. You can always raise your rates later, right? Makes sense. Seems to work. You get clients. Maybe you even get busy. You feel relieved. You feel good. You have clients. Of course that feels good. But then what happens? Over time, that so-called temporary decision becomes your normal. And that's when the hidden costs start showing up. When your rates are set too low, your business has very little margin, very little profit. You have to bill more hours to cover your expenses or even just to make ends meet. You need more clients to feel like you're stable or comfortable. You have less room for growth, mistakes, or even rest. So that means your business is always operating pretty close to the edge. You can't really easily turn down work. You hesitate to take time off. You delay investing in support or tools you need, not because you lack ambition, but because your pricing isn't flexible enough to allow you to stretch or grow. A couple of episodes ago, I told you how I set my rates too low right out of the gate. You're not alone if you've done this. And I left them there for a long, long time. Honestly, I was so happy to have a few clients paying me to do their work, and I didn't want to have any more money conversations, so I stuck with what I had. I didn't raise my clients' rates for years, even though they were busy raising theirs on a regular basis. I kind of just felt like I was lucky to have them at all. Does that sound familiar to you? I'm not surprised. But there was definitely a cost. I couldn't afford anything. Remember, when your clients pay you, all that money isn't yours. You have expenses, business expenses, taxes, and whatever else you need to make your business run. As your business grows, you want to be able to grow too. You want to be able to pay for things like an email system, a scheduling system, an invoicing or bookkeeping system, trainings, coaching, events, and more. And in order for your business to grow, you have to be able to plan for these things. And once you've set your rates too low, it's really hard to raise them. Sometimes your existing clients simply won't pay more. I can't tell you the number of VAs who come to me for help with their rates. They've just started working with a client a couple of months ago, and now they want to raise their rates. Yeah, you can't do that. That's the advice I give them. I say, you can't do that. Your bad decisions are not your client's problem. You agreed to work with them at a certain rate, and that is the deal that you made. I'm going to come back to this later in the episode, but that's one big cost of undercharging that can come up very quickly. And that's why it's really important to get your rates right from the start. I give you a lot of advice and tools to do just this. Please pay attention to it. But for now, let's talk about how getting underpaid makes you feel. Resentment starts to build. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's a lot faster. And this is where many VAs begin to feel stuck. If your tasks expand beyond the original scope of what you agreed to with the client, if your clients stretch or even break boundaries like contacting you outside of agreed hours or texting you or calling you instead of emailing you, or if your clients start to assume your availability instead of asking you when you're available. You start by feeling frustrated, but you also feel responsible because you know you agreed to the rate or the deal. So you don't say anything. You do the work. Maybe you even work harder. You tell yourself you're lucky to have them, like I did, but you still resent them. It doesn't go away when you ignore it. It just makes you tired. It makes you exhausted. And exhaustion makes everything harder. But we were talking about boundaries. Do you realize that your pricing and your boundaries are actually really kind of connected? When you get paid well, boundaries feel reasonable. When you're underpaid, boundaries don't feel so reasonable. You worry that enforcing them will upset the client, and in some cases you will. You don't clarify expectations as well as you should. You definitely tolerate things you would never accept at a higher rate. It's a really weird thing. You think that the way you think is just the way you think. That's a lot of thinking, I know, but just hold on here, bear with me for a second. You don't think that well-paid you will think any differently than poorly paid you, but you do. It's confidence, but it's also elevated. It's more professional and more solid. When you aren't charging your clients enough, this can translate into other piece of advice that I always give you. You teach people how to treat you. That is a much harder habit to break. And when you consistently charge less than your value, your brain actually uses that as evidence against you. When your brain gets into this, it really plays with your confidence. Your confidence, your mindset, everything is connected, right? Your brain starts to tell you, I'm not ready yet. I need more experience. I should wait just a little bit longer. Even if you're improving your skills, even as your clients begin to rely on you, even as you do the actual work, even as you become very essential to their business. Your confidence never catches up because your pricing does not reflect your growth. So you stay in a version of your business that no longer fits the VA that you actually are. Interesting, isn't it? Low rates create things like micromanagement, justification, explanation, emotional struggle, we say. And that's really not your client's fault. Remember, you are the one who set the rates, or at least you agreed to them if you negotiated. Please don't negotiate your rates. That's another whole episode. But your price is going to set the expectations. If you go to a high-end steakhouse, you're going to pay more for a steak, but you also expect to get a higher level dining experience, maybe linens, ambiance or atmosphere, quality of food, attentiveness and professionalism of the server, and so on and so on. If you go to a diner, you can absolutely still get a great steak, but you're going to expect to pay less for it. It might be noisier or crowded. You might get paper napkins instead of linen. And when you need your server, you might catch their attention and call them over instead of them just being there, and so on, right? Both places are going to provide you with that steak, and it could be good or great in both places, but the steakhouse price gets supported by the extra stuff that they do. It's just a little way to look at a reframe, right? The same goes for your services. You set the tone. When you work with clients who pay less, they're often budget conscious. So maybe they'll ask more questions, they'll expect more access to you or flexibility in your schedule, and they might ask for extra stuff all the time. When you work with clients who are paying for your value, it's different. They don't want to micromanage you. As a matter of fact, they don't want to manage you at all. They're trusting you to get done what they need done. They expect you to take care of it with professionalism, structure, and results. I want you to really think about that, because that difference alone can change how your entire business feels. Not charging enough affects more than just today. It delays your growth, your confidence, your specialization, and your ability to attract those high-level clients that can really support you well, or that you can really support well. Actually, it's a little bit of both. So it's time for you to grow. And guess what? You can change your rates today. I did. I changed mine in a day. I've told you this before. I went from charging $25 an hour one day to literally $50 an hour the next day. because I was able to define who I helped and how I specifically helped them. And then I got in touch with those people and I signed them. I was aligned with that decision. I stood behind it because I understood it. But of course, I got the help from my business coach to do it. And you don't need to double your rates, but you might be able to if yours are really low. The point is you can raise them and get ready to build the business that you really want to have. Let's go back to Tony in today's quote. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you tolerate. Tony Robbins is a lot, right? But in this case, honestly, he is right. If you are tolerating your situation, that's why you're still there. If you know that your rates are too low, ask yourself, what am I tolerating right now? What is it costing me to stay here? And what would change for me if I earned more? In the next final episode of this 4-part rate series, we're going to talk about how to raise your rates without burning any bridges, without losing clients, and without second-guessing yourself. Because change doesn't have to be so dramatic to work. It just has to change. If pricing has been coming up for you as you listen to this mini-series, that's probably not an accident. A lot of EAs don't struggle with rates because they're doing something wrong. They struggle because their pricing no longer matches the level of the work they're actually doing. You have changed, so you have to change your rates to suit that. And that's why I'm running a live packages workshop coming up next month, actually this month. In this workshop, we're going to work on your actual rates, your best services, how to price those so you can speak really confidently to your clients about them so you can sign them. If you are ready for pricing to feel simpler, clearer, and much more in line with the value that you are providing your clients, then you need to register for this workshop. You can find all the details in the show notes for this episode or drop me a DM and I'll send you the link. I'm here to help, guys. It's the only reason I'm here at all, to help you become a ridiculously good virtual assistant. I'm going to leave you here for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Tracy Daviero, the Confidence Coach for Virtual Assistants. I'll see you next time.